Perfect. Well, welcome everybody to After Church Tea Time. We're going to be talking about, this week's Sunday sermon with Jeff and Shaleia about wealth inequality. So, a very, very juicy topic, and I could really feel the passion behind, what Jeff and Shaleia were saying today. I know that they feel very passionate about, encouraging us to connect with our natural divine selves that are wealthy, that are born wealthy. And, everyone deserves to be wealthy and say no to poverty. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So, yeah. Does anybody want to start with, what really stood out to you? Or I can share as well. Okay. So I'll share a couple things. I did take notes. This is a topic that is, very important to me as well. I've worked really hard with my own spiritual practice, my own inner work, to clear my own poverty blocks for me and my union. And the very first thing that I wrote down is, it is a lie that wealth is evil. It is. It's really interesting how that belief really, really repels wealth and repels money and repels, um, you know, that person, prevents that person from actually, um, calling in what they need. So many people live and they're not able to tend to all of their needs because they have all of these misaligned thoughts and beliefs about how money is evil and wealth is evil, and rich people take from the poor and all of that stuff. But it's actually an illusion, because I think one of the biggest takeaways for me is that it's 100% your responsibility to create and call in your own wealth, and that nobody or nothing has power over you to create your reality and to really manifest everything that you need for yourself. Um, but yeah, so does anybody want to jump in to that?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the discussion. And I'd like to start saying that, I love that we had this sermon today. And also why? Because as for Shaleia, like what she posted earlier today, that yesterday was New Year's Eve as per the Mayan calendar. So basically today is the first day of the new year, and what a way to start it, talking about wealth and how we can correct the consciousness, on about wealth. And I love that you brought up this belief that a lot of us have grown up on, that money is evil, or money is the root cause of evil, and that the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer, and money doesn't grow on trees. These are some of the things that I've heard growing up, and we should hoard whatever money we have so that we can save for the later part of our life, and right now be frugal in our spending, and so that we can live better later. But I love how Jeff and Shaleia pointed it out, that and what is the truth, that you are born abundant, and this is just a belief that was passed on to you. And this is a belief that is like what a lot of things you shared, even I've heard growing up. So it's not related to just one country or one community. It's world over that people have this belief about wealth. And I love that it's what Jeff pointed out, which is the truth, that nobody can actually create in your reality except you. And this is what we are learning here in TFU, and this is how we are setting forth, like how Jeff and Shaleia spoke about in the New Earth series, to bring in this change in how people view life on Earth. You know, and yeah, it's an amazing topic to start off this wonderful next year in our lives. And yeah, that's what I wanted to add there. If somebody else would like to add to it too.
Hi, everyone. What stood out to me was that Jeff said that it takes the same effort to be rich and to be poor. And also I loved that he said that you can choose darkness in your pores or life in your riches. And so to choose your divine prosperity, to be abundant and to be how God called you to be, is to be in your true divine self. And that there's no reason to choose poverty, even if nearly everybody in this world has poverty consciousness, lurking around and yeah, in his or her consciousness. But the truth is that through our life purpose, so through giving and sharing love, we can exit this very hellish state of mind where we need to fight to live or struggle to have bread on our table. This is not the way to be, and this is not how the new earth will be born. It will be born in prosperity, it will be born in riches, and we deserve to be how God created us, and this is our true state. So I love how this is a choice and how we have all the power to align to this and to go back to how we were created. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a radical approach, to what is currently, being implemented and just like being practiced today is revolutionary and amazing and so juicy.
Mainly also because of the religious blocks. For example, in my family, I have a very religious background. My mom was Christian, my dad was Muslim, and so I had religion as a contrast all my life. And to me, stepping into my power and into my spirituality means to speak my truth. And so it goes in contrast to what maybe my father would say, like, the bread is is of God, and so he would never waste bread because it's from God, and so take very literal divine teaching. So it's incredible how Jeff and Shaleia teach us to really seek real spirituality and give us our true salvation from taking a very literal description or understanding of life as we're like in our victimhood or just in our small selves or egoic selves, and to step out of that and into our riches and into life, basically to live it fully as it deserves to be lived.
Right. Yeah, no, I love that. It really makes me just think about how much every area of our money, all the money that we have, has a very specific purpose with God. And everything that we are given, everything that God gives us, is from God, And yeah.
And I love how it was said that like it comes from your life purpose, which means that we have something to give to the world, and which means that divine wealth comes from your relationship with God and God himself. And so it does not come from extortion, as mafia was mentioned, that is criminal, and there's this illusion of wealth, which is very different from divine wealth and how we were created. And so this is also very interesting to pinpoint in our consciousness where we have the illusion of wealth, as many people, just want to, have something from our brothers or sisters, and just, but this is not wealth. This is the illusion of wealth, because wealth is created, and so it must be found within, and then it will manifest without. And so So everything is in our power. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up. And I also wanted to add here that it was very clear when they were speaking that, wealth is not just about the money that you make. It's completely an inner journey. So it's about how you feel, because money is a vibration of love. So the amount you receive is a sign of your spiritual mastery and how much you really love yourself and connect with God and are aligned with God. So wealth transcends just money. It's all around, like how you feel about God, about yourself, about your brothers and sisters, about giving, about what you have, the you know like you mentioned, your life purpose, how aware you are, how connected you are, and how much you like receive from God and also give back. That's what brings you the true wealth. It's not about how much you really have in your bank account. And this is where the misalignment also happened for a lot of us, because we were only taught about what's in your bank account makes you. That's your identity, how much you have in the bank. And not really, and there is not really much focus on anything else. So how much you have in the bank, what kind of car you drive, what kind of house you live in. And so I mean, not to say that those are not important, but it was more of the material aspect. And that's when people had this strewed idea of like, oh, okay, if I need to prove myself to the world, then I must have XYZ amount and this kind. I must show off my wealth. So it's good to come back to the truth that no, that's not all that wealth is about. And that doesn't mean you have to, and that's what Jeff rightly spoke about too. Like, I'm from India, so we have a lot of monks and sages here who give up the material world and give up money, etc., for spiritual wealth. And that was the other extreme. So like, one extreme was everything is about the material and not really about the relationships with people or with God. And you only ask God, you only pray when you want something from God, not because you need to have that connection, and not because you already have that innate connection and you keep evolving in it. And then there's the other extreme where for spiritual wealth, they give up everything, and so you don't have, and um, in that way, like, even for their food, for anything, they are not really dependent on people, but at the same time, they don't have the means to take care of themselves there. It's like they surrender to God, but at the same time, if you go to one of the places, like we have the like gatherings called a mela, like a kumbh mela, where all the saints gather. It happens twice a year. So you can see that, you can see how they live. They are very rich in in their connection to God. You can't touch them there. But the material wealth is not this. So it's about finding that balance. And that's why I love what we do here in the community, because we are showing that money is not evil. Money also comes from God. People who have money don't necessarily get it by doing something bad. You can be completely connected to God and receive all that money from love. And also, like, why our sages did that, because the idea was spirituality, attain God, and leave this earth, and move on. But what we are doing here with the New Earth series is like, what we are here for is to attain that spiritual mastery, have that material wealth, and continue here, and show people that you can have your heaven here. You don't have to leave it. So that's where we are rewiring the consciousness. And this is God's message to us today through Jeff and Shaleia, and what we are discussing now, that you can really have it all. You don't just have to have only the material wealth and have no spiritual wealth, or have all the spiritual wealth and have no material wealth. You can have both and be really balanced and happy. And I love that, because it's time. This is why people used to give up on their dreams and their dream life, and that's how, like, even for me, like when I was small, I remember liking all these good things, but being told that, money doesn't grow on trees. And you can't just have anything you want. And, oh, that's too expensive. So I was like, okay. And the funny thing was, anytime I walked into a store, my eyes would fall on something and it would be the most beautiful thing in the store, be it a bag or clothes or shoes or food, and it would also be one of the most expensive things in the store. So I had to, over time, train myself to ignore those desires because there's not enough money to go around. And growing up, you start limiting yourself, and that's how you start playing small, which is something that we're all transcending. The poverty consciousness, the scarcity consciousness is where we trained ourselves by listening to society and ego, and then letting go of those big dreams and those luxuries, because we're like, no, we can't have that. There's not enough. It's too much. We don't, and then trying to justify saying, oh, I don't really need that luxury. I can make do with what I have. So I'm very happy that we're transcending that. And the topic was also about the inequality of wealth. And that was something that hit me hard when I came back to India. When I started working, like what Jeff said about, the salary structures and stuff. So I don't know if you all have anything to say about that, about the job scene and how that also contributes to the wealth inequality that we face and that we're trying to heal.
Yeah, what I'm kind of feeling into with this is that, there are some salaries and some jobs where they probably could value their workers a little more, so the pay structure perhaps could shift and change. But I do feel like for the most part, people are getting paid pretty fairly, I feel. There probably does need to be some changes for sure, but nothing like super, super drastic. Because I'm just thinking, like, as we co-create our reality with God, essentially our own value, the way that we see our value becomes divine. So we finally see our divine value, and that's what we start to attract. So whether it is with our own businesses, or we're already working for a company or in a certain industry, and we just essentially attract a position and a role, whether it's high responsibility, very leadership based role, or whether it's a more simple task oriented job. I feel that we manifest as we heal, as we align more with our divine self. We do attract the wealth that is required of us, or the wealth to properly like support us with our life purpose, because it's about serving God. And I really liked what you said a little earlier when you were saying that, a lot of people just go to God when they want something from him, or they just completely, reject wealth. And so those are kind of two extremes. And true wealth is only created with God, and in service to God and the God of others, like Jeff said. And I find that to be really, really beautiful. And it makes earning money feel really, really good and really, really fulfilling. And depending on your specific gifts and what you have to divinely contribute to the world, you're going to align with the wealth vibration that is most appropriate for your life purpose. And so, yeah, when I think about the inequality and, different wages and different salaries, I just kind of feel like, yes, there probably could be some changes there for sure. But I also feel like it makes logical sense that someone, at the top of a company that has a lot of responsibility and a lot of, leadership tasks and is in charge of a lot to get, paid a higher salary than someone who does more simple tasks throughout the day to keep, a certain part of the company rolling, if that makes sense. Um, I don't know if you guys have anything to say about that, but
Yeah, I have something to say. Why do you guys think there's so much stigma around rich people? Like going deeper into consciousness, like what's wrong with being rich?
victim mentality, I feel. So the people that feel um, I feel like it's a self-worth upset of like, oh, I'm not worthy of having that much wealth. Why do they get that much wealth? And like, I don't get anything. And it's a big part of it is just truly not taking responsibility for their life or even having the awareness that they have the power to change their life, right? So a lot of people aren't even aware that they have the power to you know influence and co-create with God in such a powerful way. That's why this work is just so amazing, is it gives you all the power to co-create with God, and manifest your divine life. And yeah, so I feel that people just uh they have upsets. They just need to mirror their upsets and uh embrace the power that they actually do have to change their life.
Yeah, I'd like to add here that it's also because people are raised with this idea that there's a limited amount of money in the world and the rich have most of it. So when the rich get richer, the poor, or whoever calls themselves poor, automatically think that they are richer because they have my money with them, or the middle class feels that oh, they get richer. And this is what I've heard this too, that the rich get richer, and a lot of their money is not supposed to be theirs. It's the people's money that they have. And so there's this idea that the rich are robbing the poor, and then you have these levels in society. You have the poor, you have the lower middle class, you have the upper middle class, and then you have the rich, and it's the middle class that gets caught in between these two. So when the taxes come in, they are the ones who get taxed to pay either the poor or the rich. So there is this feeling that there's only so much of money in the world, and that's being distributed, and somebody got a bigger share of the pie. But that's what we are working to release, the fact that abundance is not limited, and each one has their own. There is nothing like, which is what I think Jeff meant when he said that the God within you and the God within your brothers, that God has given that abundance to everybody, and you don't see it because you don't believe in it or you didn't know about it. And that's the only reason that you're not able to create it in your reality. And now and this is why we come across people who, like, even I've said that oh, I don't have enough money to buy that, I don't have the money to do this, I don't have, because I don't know where to get the money from. It's not there, like nobody gave me the slice of that pie. But that's what we are rewiring, that it's all within you. And I remember this Abraham Hicks sermon. There was this line, somebody asked me, like, someone asked her that, well, Abraham, if everything is within me and it's in this vortex, then how do I get it from inside me into the bank? So that's the big mystery there. And that's what we're doing. That's how that's what you said, Danny, about healing using the mirror exercise, which is the most wonderful tool. And Jeff and Shaleia made it so simple, like with those 4 steps, that anybody can use that for anything. And you heal that. If you don't see your wealth, you heal why you don't. Or if you have this belief that wealth is not for you, then you look at why you have that kind of belief. Like maybe you were raised with that, or you live in a country, and or you just feel that you'll never be that wealthy because of XYZ. Like I used to have this thought that like when I said, when I came back to India, this inequality of wealth hit me because of the different currencies across the world. And when I started working in India, that's when I realized that, oh my God, this exchange factor is so huge. Like it's literally so difficult to earn in my currency and say, go to a different country. Like today, because of the corona, the exchange rate is really high. Like $1 is 75, 77 rupees. And that's a lot of money. So that's when it really affected me. I was like, oh my God, this is so unfair. Why do they get to have the better money? And, why do I get to have the smaller money? But that's again, the consciousness correction that we are working through, that it doesn't really matter. If you call in your abundance, then, you can get that abundance in whatever currency you have. It need not limit you. And that's what I've been releasing. That's how I've been releasing like poverty consciousness, this belief that, oh, because I'm like earning in rupees, I'm never going to be that rich or that abundant. And that's for different probably people in like different countries feel the same way too. So I mean, this is for them too, that it really doesn't matter what currency you're in. You can still have that abundance. Like doing this work, doing the mirror exercise, clearing those blocks, you can create that in your life. So yeah, just wanted to add that. And about the salary structure that you said, Danny, yeah, that change and what you said is right. But people often crib about the salary. I work so hard, but I get paid peanuts or peanut shells. So that's again because of the vibration. Like that's what Jeff said about when you do a job that you hate, that you're just doing it for the money. That's why the money is never enough. And I know I've been in that situation a lot of times. Like I just had to do some jobs just to have that extra paycheck, and even that extra paycheck was just about enough. Or I would still buy myself stuff, but still keep it within the limit so that the paycheck would last longer. But as you also said, once you connect with yourself, you connect with God, you understand what's your purpose, then you don't necessarily have to do those jobs anymore. And then you're in a much better alignment with yourself and therefore with money. Yeah, with every business, it takes time, but it happens. I mean, see Jeff and Shaleia, they are living examples for us, showing us how to move forward with this work. Like they share so openly about where they were and how they moved and where they are now. And that's amazing. Like, to follow them and to learn from them and to apply it, to embody it. And that's what we're doing. And that's what we want to share with the world. So that's how we're doing it. And I'm so grateful to them for this body of work and these sermons, that people are listening to, and it's helping them. And I mean, today we're here talking about it. And this is such an important topic because the world, especially today in the corona age where people are not able to work, and a lot of businesses that I know of in my city have closed because no one's able to go, to restaurants or to malls or, to the movies. So a lot of businesses have shut and people are unemployed. And this is the time when they need to have this message given to them that you don't have to worry. God is not forsaking you, or has not and will never forsake you. You have it within you. Just learn, come here. So that's what I wanted to add to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just feel like adding that I think the core message of Jeff and Shaleia today is what they said. It says, wealth comes from an infinite well. It comes from giving. And so what Life Purpose class does is it teaches you a way to serve God. And that is how you have then all your riches. And so we can have peace in this, that it's already known the way is already made. We just have to walk it by finding our gifts within and then sharing it with the world. And so that's our way to our riches. Yeah.
Yep. I agree. Yeah, it's beautiful. I agree with everything that you guys said so far. Let's see here. I guess I'll share a little bit about, you know, my experience with wealth growing up. I grew up in a middle upper class family, and all of my material needs were always met, um, except for one very important thing. My dad really traded his life force for that money, and it was very emotionally hard to watch him like go through that, especially in my teenage years, because I could see very strongly that, he was really taking from himself in a lot of ways. He never truly learned, at least when I was living at home, and probably still to this day to a large degree, he still doesn't really know how to properly give to himself. So he was leaking his money everywhere, and not truly giving to himself, and that actually caused me to, have this belief that, oh, money is evil. So I actually had to work through that upset and that block myself, earlier on in my life, just because I saw, how money was affecting my dad. But he was really just choosing that himself. He didn't know any better. He didn't know a better way, or perhaps he was being stubborn and didn't want to embrace actually loving himself with his own money that he was earning. And what actually ended up happening over a period of years was that, yeah, he was earning a very good salary at the job that he was making, but he was nearing retirement, right? All my life he talked about retirement, like, oh, when I retire, I can't wait to retire, constantly. And it's actually it's pretty sad, but it's his choice, right? He's learning with God. He was like, maybe 5 years away from retirement, and he was so stressed at his job that he ended up having to leave his job 5 years before retirement. So he invested 30 years of his life in this job and ended up not even getting the thing that he was working all this time for, because he didn't give to himself the whole time. So he really like leaked away all of his energy. And I guess the point to this story is that we don't have to live that way anymore. We can choose something different, and it feels so much better to choose to, create wealth from the inside out. And when you create wealth with God, your needs are always met no matter what. So you're always filled up, you're always whole, you're always, giving to yourself and loving yourself with what you bring in, because that gives you what you need to serve and to love, and to, be with God and to love God through your purpose and through your service and through your gifts. If you don't give to yourself, how can you give without taking from yourself? And so I think that that's a really beautiful lesson, and I feel like it's a very valuable lesson, because there's so much contrast there that you can't experience. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to share that, because it was a very powerful thing, like watching my dad, like make his choice and live the way that he was choosing, really made me realize what I definitely didn't want in my life. And I really did not want that. I would much rather, you know, at that time, not have money and feel happy than wasting away at a job that's really stressful. So, yeah, it's important to live on purpose. And yeah, this is, I think, one of humanity's most important upsets and blocks that we're working through. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, it's, I think a lot of our parents did that because there was also this idea of you need to sacrifice to get that kind of wealth. And I know both my parents, were doing jobs that they really liked, but somewhere along the way, like you said, there was a big leak where money was concerned because somewhere there was also this feeling that they need to help others along with their own family. So that, and that whole sacrifice thing of it's okay, I can work a little more and earn a little more, but they don't have, and my children don't have. And so while they liked their jobs, but they were living from this belief of sacrifice is how, so there will never be enough money. And they were also like waiting for retirement, because that's that belief that I heard growing up, that save so that you have when you're older, because when you're older you need money. Now you're young, you can do without it, but you need it then. So that's probably also what your dad meant about he was waiting to retire, because he would have this lump sum there, and then he can enjoy his life. But I see them now, and they're so in that routine of wanting to work that they're not really enjoying retirement either. They are kind of, but it's still not given them that happiness that they kept talking about that they would have when they were retired.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because I was just thinking about what Jeff has said in a class before. I think it was a TFAS class, or maybe it was LPC, I don't remember, but he was saying that when you live an extremely imbalanced life and you're always working, in order to rebalance that, you have to go from this energy of like always working, always giving, always taking from yourself, and then doing nothing, like having no energy to do anything, because it's like a rebalancing that's happening. And so like a lot of times I feel when people retire after leading an imbalanced life like that, they just sit there. It's really
Yeah,
about living in the moment, I feel. Obviously, yeah, it's important to manage your money correctly. So obviously saving is definitely important, but in order to um, I feel be in full alignment with your purpose, like it is about the present moment, and it always will be.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. They were never living in the now. They were always saving for the future. And now in their future, which is now, they're tired, they're exhausted. So it's like, even they're not able to enjoy the money as much, because now the fear is, okay, we're retired, if we spend this, where's it going to come from? So there's always this fear. This is the fear about, that's what I said, there's this fear that there's limited. So we need to really release that fear in our consciousness. It's not limited, there's unlimited. And God, like Jeff said, God would have you be wealthy. That's why he's created you with that abundance and with the power to co-create with him in your reality. And you just need to remember that and believe that and accept it and embody it. And that's what is the secret. There is no need to feel you don't have, and then that's when you want to take from somebody else. That's when all this borrowing and lending comes in, and then you can't, so it's this, that's the imbalance again. So, and I love what Shaleia said, and Jeff quoted Shaleia, that the promise of dreams is that they come true. And all those dreams, you never have to play small. You can have all the luxury. It's okay to desire those expensive things, because that's your inner voice. That's God saying that, hey, you are absolutely worth it. You can. Don't limit yourself. Stop doing that. But of course, he's given us free will. So this is where we align our free will with him and understand that, okay, if God's showing me that beautiful pair of shoes, then maybe I should just align with him and get those Jimmy Choos, or Louboutins, whichever, whatever calls to you. So yeah, that's what I said. I love that we're having this sermon on this day, and really discussing this further, so that because I think, like, among the three of us, we touched on a lot of pain points with relation to wealth, financial abundance, material abundance, spiritual abundance. So yeah, it's wonderful. So I'm very happy to be here today talking about this.
Me too. Me too.
I just wanted to ask, do we have any questions from people on Facebook, or anything that...
Good question. I can check.
Or anything that they were adding? And money is good. Good to have money. It's good to have a lot of money.
Yeah, definitely.
You're not taking...
I'll read a comment for you on Anupama, because Pooja posted. She said, also in India, it's a myth that keeps going on from one generation to another, that you have to pay back or provide for your elders because they're old and can't manage on their own by sacrificing and working double. I want clarity on this too, if you have any.
Yeah, this is what I was saying about the sacrifice part. This is why I mentioned in the beginning that I'm from India, and we have the stigma about money. And we have, I don't know if there's an Indian parent handbook that goes around, because all Indian parents say this, that, oh, when you were growing up, I worked so hard and I sacrificed and, made all that money so you can have a good life. And now you're grown up and it's time for you to take care of me. And this is that emotional blackmail that happens. But it's, again, we can't blame them, because this is what they were taught as children, and this is what their parents said. So and you trace it down to ancestors, and this is how we were all raised. And it's because, I guess, in our Indian history, it's probably because of all the the domination that we experienced. We were ruled by the British for 200 odd years, and before that we had the Mughals and the Spanish and the Portuguese and everybody coming in. Because I remember being told and reading about India being such a rich land that precious jewels were literally strewn on the streets as people walk through. Like, they didn't even want to pick it up because there was just so much of it. But I think over the years, after all the conquerors came in and took everything, people have this belief that having good is not necessarily a good thing, because it can be forcibly taken from you. And forcibly meaning, either through torture, murder, whatever, And somewhere along the way, that's where the evil factor came in around wealth consciousness. And now that we don't have that kind of wealth family to family, we all have to work for it. And if you look at the jobs that a lot of parents do, etc., you're literally working for somebody else, building their dream, and they put in a lot of those hours so that their children have a better life than they did. And that's where this belief comes from, that it's only when you do so much and now I've done it, it's my time is over, it's your time. The way to heal that will again be to, if you're here, the buck stops with you now. You can transcend this and heal those ancestral blocks by doing the mirror exercise and teaching your generation and the generation to come that you don't have to live that way anymore. There's nothing wrong with wealth. It won't be taken away from you unless you let it. And it won't be hidden from you, because you can create as much as you want in your reality with God. And we are very strong believers in God. We have many deities that we worship for, who mean different things. But, it's just about reconnecting with God, not just for something, but for everything, for you. And you can even help your parents, if they're open to it, or by embodying this work, show them that even they can change that reality right now. They don't need to expect it from you and put that burden on you, and you don't need to take that either. We're healing this. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And Lisi brought up a good point. She said, a child of God, a divine being, cannot be emotionally blackmailed or manipulated unless a choice is made to participate in the illusion.
Absolutely. And as children, we're taught this, but now as we understand this, we understand that we are children of God, and we don't need to live in that manipulation anymore. We don't need to live in that emotional blackmail. That doesn't mean you're going to tell your parents, bye-bye. It's like realigning the belief that, and letting them also understand that you don't need to, make me your source now. Because all my life you made you my source. But now we have to understand that God is everybody's source.
Yep.
So that's how we transcend that.
Yep. Claiming our power back.
Yeah.
Yep.
So claiming our power back, stop the energy leaks, draw the boundaries, and realign.
I love that.
Everybody.
And being disciplined with the life purpose, your life purpose.
Yeah. Identify, because God reveals your life purpose to you. So realign with God, understand what's your life purpose, and you will have your dream life.
All dreams come true.
Yes, that's what the promise of dreams is, right? That they come true. And those dreams are put in your heart by God with the promise that God will make every one of those dreams come true.
Mm-hmm. Are there any more questions, Danny, or comments?
Let's see. Sage is asking, Anupama, have your parents been receptive to the truth, or have you overcome the emotional blackmail?
Oh, well, they keep asking me, like, how are you managing? You don't have a job. What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm fine. So, and I tell them what I'm doing, but, they're taking their time to absorb what I'm doing. They're supporting. There is a question in their mind of, will that be enough to sustain you, and ask us if you need money? But so it's just about me going on embodying the work and showing them that the work works. And earlier they used to be concerned, because I quit my job and to do Ascension be an Ascension coach. But I can sense that they are less concerned now. But as parents, they will always look out for their children. So yeah. But yes, I have been able to transcend that to a huge percent, the whole the emotional scenario around money. Yeah. And as children, we do want to take care of our parents, we do want to provide for them, but that whole stigma of you must do it is not there now.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I myself have had a very interesting situation. So, I had to stop my parents from giving me money, um, because it was starting to feel really bad receiving from them. Like at a certain point, like, yeah, my dad, obviously has some patterns of like codependency and leaking money and all of that stuff. But he would also use money as manipulation and ways to control and stuff. But ultimately, at the end of the day, when it came time for me to grow up and become an adult in my late teenage years, I was like, okay, I can't receive money from you anymore. Like obviously I still get help here and there, but I had to like actually draw some boundaries there, at first for a little while, so I could really almost like teach myself, because my parents, they kind of wanted me to be dependent on them, so I had to break myself free, and I had to essentially just shock myself awake into adulthood, and it was really, really worth it. 100% worth it. Um, you know, family codependency, especially financial or anything, just feels so bad, you know? It's not a healthy relationship, so it's always good to choose to um, learn how to uh, get all of your good from God and not your parents.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I moved through that. I released the guilt on that because for us, like I said earlier, parents always feel like they need to be there for their children. So if I stopped taking money from my parents a long time ago because I wanted to be independent, you know. But I was even not like depending on God. I was depending on myself and taking from myself. But when I started understanding that, okay, that doesn't need to happen anymore, I released that whole emotional blackmail around it. And my parents still offer financial support. I don't say no anymore because I realize that, if they are offering, then there is a God within them too that is giving me this, whatever, like lifeline. And I don't need to keep saying no, 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 no to everything.
Yeah.
But I need to be clear that I'm not taking it from any kind of a codependency or an emotional blackmail scenario. I'm taking it because, okay, this is, I check into like why. And sometimes my dad does, like, because he knows I might say no, he just leaves the money before he leaves. And when he's in the car, he'll say, by the way, I left some money on the table. I'm like, why did you do that? And then I stop myself. I'm like, okay, thank you very much. Because it's coming from God and you don't need to depend on that. But at the same time, you can be grateful and receive that. And maybe it'll come in handy sometime, or maybe it's just there. It's just parents' way of just, wanting you to know that they love you too. And
Yeah.
that's within them. As long as you're not making them your source.
Yep, that's a really, really good point you bring up, because so I spent some time, really just choosing not to receive any money from them because, I really desired to be self-sufficient and independent. But recently, over the past, couple years, it has actually felt good to allow God to support me through them, in whichever way is appropriate and healthy. So yeah, you bring up a really good point there with that. God's support comes in all ways. There's no limit, and there's no expectation on how it's supposed to look.
Yeah,
Um,
and once I shifted my perspective from, hey, that's love coming to me in that form, and I don't have to say no to it because I don't want to say no to love in any form or any way anymore. It was easy, and there is no negative feeling around it anymore. And it's there, the money is just there for me when I need to access it, or if they need it, or it's there for whatever use it's supposed to be used for. There's a divine purpose for everything.
yep, I agree.
Right.
Hmm.
I feel good. Do we have any other question or comment?
Let's see. God is our ultimate parent figure from Casey, which is very true. Um, I don't think we have any other questions for now. Does anybody want to bring up anything else?
No, I think we covered everything.
I think
from
so.
from our parents to serving God to our life purpose. That wealth is not evil, comes from God, and so just to align to this truth and to share our love and gifts to the world, because this is how we are going to attract our wealth, and it feels very good. So just have this relationship with God, and everything will come.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Yeah, this was a really awesome live. I loved talking with all of you and just sharing our perspectives and experiences. And we will see you next week.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.